Hey guys, Dan Young here with Dan's Millionaire Code. And every week I bring you a master super entrepreneur Jedi to teach you how to be successful in today's current environment. And there's so much opportunity right now. And as you guys know, every single week we bring on someone amazing. They share virtually all their mentorship with you at absolutely no charge. There's just two things we ask. One, execute. Right? The knowledge without execution is useless, so execute. Two, share it with friends and loved ones. There's no fee except just share it so we can help the world through entrepreneurship. Today's guest is my fitness superhero, Drew Manning, and he was one of the first guests, first kind dudes to come on and share his story. He's also known as the Keto Guy. He's been insanely successful, physically, financially, spiritually, phenomenal dude. Been through a lot of crazy stuff you might have heard in his previous recording, which you should have listened to. It was like a little over a year and a half ago.
Yeah, a year and a half, I think.
He's also got the New York Times bestseller author of Fit to Fat to Fit, featured on also Dr. Oz, Good Morning America,
Yep.
and social media maniac. I want to be like him when I grew up on social media. A hit TV show called Fit to Fat to Fit.
Yep.
Airs on A&E and Lifetime. Right?
Yeah.
And then I think you have another book?
Complete Keto.
Complete Keto.
So it's a keto book, yeah.
You gave me that book.
I did, yeah.
I gave it to my son, and then he lost 30 pounds.
Really?
Eating till he was totally full, following your recommendations in the last 90 days.
Wow.
And he says his energy now is like he's 15 years old. He's like 25.
Yeah.
But he's just like, man, it's changed my whole life. And while doing that journey, he quit drinking any sort of like beers or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's weird because he acts like he was when he was, I remember he was like 10.
Really?
It's crazy.
That's so cool, man.
It's weird.
It's a family success story.
Well,
you too.
You have the instruction manual, so you follow your. If you guys don't have his instruction manual, get his instruction manual. I met actually Drew was kind of funny is through some friends and that, but after my doctor took a blood test and pointed out that I had to take cholesterol meds,
Wow.
2 blood sugar control meds, and blood pressure meds, because entrepreneur going all day, and I didn't think it was that big of a problem until I had my blood work done.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I just started following your stuff and peeled off a crap. I think over like 50 pounds total since I started following your stuff. And what's cool is then he just starts saying, you don't even need to take the majority of these anymore. I take a little bit of blood pressure because maybe I'm kind of high-strung, crazy executor dude. But it's not like horrible, and now it's fully under control. And my goal is, I'm going to follow you when you do, we're going to talk about your journey, but when you do your cutting phase and cleansing phase, I'm going to follow you with that. I'm going to attempt to peel off, and I will peel off about another probably 15 pounds and get to my like high school.
Yeah, man.
Then I'll act like I'm 10, right? So thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Both of us love scaling our businesses and things like that. But the big reason why I had you on here is you have gained a lot of weight, bro, and not because of just because of COVID specifically. It's just been intentional.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So as you know, I did this 10 years ago as an experiment. In 2011, I decided to step into the shoes of my clients, right? I wanted to experience what they go through so that I could be a better trainer. And this is something that, from an entrepreneurship perspective is really powerful to better understand the people that are paying you. If you can better understand them and better relate to them, they're going to have more respect and better relate to you. And so for me, it definitely was risky. It was unhealthy what I did. I put on 75 pounds in 6 months, stopped exercising, ate a standard American diet. I wanted to show people how unhealthy the typical American diet really is. And it was one of the hardest, most humbling things because I went into it thinking like, oh yeah, I'll gain some weight and then I'll lose it and that'll be it. But man, was I humbled in so many ways. But I learned so many valuable lessons from that first experiment that carried over into creating this Fit to Fat to Fit movement where I wrote my book and then created a TV show and put other trainers through that process because man, I came out of it so much more empathetic towards those. So if anyone's watching that's overweight, that might be in a larger body that struggles with weight loss, just so you know I can understand now how much of a mental and emotional journey that is for people, and that's why people struggle. Yes, it's a physical journey. You need to eat less and work out, but the mental and emotional side is what keeps people from doing it consistently because they're emotionally connected to food. The emotional connection to food is way more powerful than we think.
I feel that, dude.
And yes, you have the discipline or willpower to be like, okay, I'm going to stop eating sugar for a year. Most people out there can't do that because
it's hard though.
Yeah, they're stressed out. They're stressed out, and their emotions are they're high strung because let's say they're an entrepreneur, they're running a business, they have a family, exercise and meal prep goes, to the side, and that's not a priority for them anymore. And so people are like, oh, I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to try and do it. But then they do it for a week or two, and they're like, it's just too hard. And so what I'm saying is I understand, I can empathize with that now. So fast forward to today, you're introducing me as a fitness expert, and people are like, what the hell? Like, how's he your fitness expert? So I've put on about 60 pounds in the past 4 months because I wanted to do it again. Back in 2011, social media wasn't what it is today. No one really watched the journey as it happened 10 years ago because there was only Facebook, really. There was no Instagram Live, Insta Stories. There was none of that. And so now I wanted to do it again, but as a 40-year-old, to inspire that demographic and show them like, hey, it's harder, but it's still possible, and I'll show you how to do it. And then also to really drive home the messages, like my shirt says, empathy. That's what I'm trying to bring to the fitness industry. So I want to disrupt the fitness industry by doing something no one's ever done before, and by talking about something that no one ever talks about. In the fitness industry, it's all about weight loss, diets, exercise, supplements, how to get shredded. All that's cool and all that's important when it comes to transformation. But one thing I've learned from this journey is no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
It's true.
And that can be applied in the fitness industry as a trainer, a coach, and an influencer, but also in other industries as well. Like if you can't connect to your clients, if they don't feel like they can relate to you, like you're just this unrelatable God-type person that like can't be touched or is not human, it's really hard to relate to that type of person. So that's what I truly believe. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's what this whole brand is about. And that's why I'm doing this a second time. So, man, I've got 60 pounds to lose, hopefully over the course of 4 months. And I start January 4th, 2021. So, yes, I'm doing this journey a second time.
We went on a run to an Italian restaurant.
Sorry to breathe.
and both of us ate a large spaghetti.
Oh, man.
This is when you were doing like a vegan?
Vegan week.
And it felt good for about 3 minutes or 5 minutes maybe, and then after that, it was like forcefully painful to eat all that.
It really was.
So you've been doing this frequently. I've been watching your videos, and you've been doing a lot of dining with some friends.
Yes.
From Rice Krispie treats, the cookies, or what was it?
Yeah, 5-pound burritos.
Oh man. So what was the best eating experience so far, and then the most painful?
The best eating experience is when I just eat normally, to be honest with you. It's not when I do these food challenges, because the food challenges, like you said, are fun for 3 minutes, but miserable for 6 hours afterwards. like it looks cool on camera, but they don't show what happens like when you're at home. You're like, oh, it hurts so bad. So the fun eating experiences are like when I literally get to eat my emotions. So this has been a really hard emotional journey for me, and I thought it was, once again, I went into it thinking it was going to be kind of easy, and now I'm like, damn, it was way harder than I thought it was going to be. So there have been moments where I'm like, I really am eating my emotions to the point where it feels good. And this is why I feel like I can tap into people's emotions and feelings when they do emotionally eat, because I'm like, I get it. The old trainer in me was like, why do people do that? That's stupid. Just don't eat the junk food, put down the alcohol, go to the gym. Like, how hard could that be? This journey has really stepped into the shoes even more of my clients, where it's like, I went through a breakup. I'm having hard times, like mentally and spiritually. Like I feel like out of whack, and my hormones are out of balance. And I'm like, you know what? That ice cream makes me feel damn good. Like, and I get it. And we're like, this wine tonight, I'm gonna drink it, and I don't care. I know it's not healthy. I know I'm gonna sleep awful, but I'm gonna do it. And so those are the ones that I enjoyed the most. The ones I don't like are actually the food challenges.
Really?
Because like I think the most miserable one was the 5-pound burrito from Blue Iguana. If you guys haven't checked them out, go check them out. Don't do the 5-pound burrito challenge though, because that thing is about this big.
They got a regular size?
They have regular size burritos. Yeah. the 5-pound burrito, I got like 3 pounds in, and like the rest of the night I was just miserable for like I said, 6 or 7 hours. And it just, I wasn't hungry the next day. I had stomach issues, which you guys don't want to know about. So yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of the emotional challenges, because through this whole COVID thing, we're like still in the heat of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people have been gaining weight. Some people have lost weight.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of weird seeing that. I've talked to some friends who have lost weight. And a lot of them lost weight because they were determined to, but a lot of them lost because they were just mentally sad.
Yeah.
And their thing was not eat as much.
Yeah.
And then I had a lot of friends who gained a lot of weight. Entrepreneurs too, right? All these Jedi.
Yeah.
And it's weird. So I saw one of my friends, like John Pastana, he lost like some exorbitant amount of weight, like 40 pounds, 50 pounds during COVID. And he looks like I knew him 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Again, but I've seen some friends gain a lot.
Yeah.
And I asked those friends, and they said they were like self-medicating a little bit.
Yeah.
For dealing with a lot of the employee challenges, scaling, revenue problems, government shutdowns of all their stores.
Yeah.
What are some tactics to deal with the psychology of with that relationship with food? I mean, you've done this before, but now you're doing it at the older age now.
Yeah.
At a very accelerated pace. What are some suggestions and tips you have?
Really good question, man. And let me be totally honest with people watching this. And that is before I did Fit to Fat to 40, earlier in this year when the pandemic happened, the shutdown happened, there was moments where I was like, yes, I was still the fit person and the fit mindset. Mm-hmm. There was moments where I'm like, you know what? I'm super stressed out about the situation, and I am emotionally eating. Not to the point of gaining weight, but to the point of like medicating, like numbing myself of that stress where you drink alcohol, you eat ice cream, whatever your vice is, it does temporarily numb that pain.
Burritos, bro.
Burritos are good. Yeah. It numbs that pain temporarily. So even for myself, I found myself doing that. But what are some tactics? What are some things people can do? The biggest thing to overcome emotional eating is self-awareness. Becoming self-aware, knowing what your triggers are, knowing what those triggers are and which emotions they trigger in you. And in those moments of being triggered, learning how to become the observer of your thoughts. And this is like a huge Jedi mind trick. If you could become the observer. What happens when you learn how to become the observer of your thoughts rather than attaching yourself to your thoughts, then you get to take a step back, kind of like outside of your body, and you get to watch the triggers, the emotions play out, kind of like a movie. And you're just kind of in the back, like everything's in slow motion. You know what I'm saying? Like in the movies, that part where things go in slow motion.
Outside your body kind of thing?
The Flash, or who else is really fast where like things slow down for them?
Oh, Matrix kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Things slow down and they're like, okay, I see what's happening here. This is happening. Like I'm triggered over here. My brain is reaching for the wine or is reaching for the chocolate or whatever it is. And when you become the observer, then in those moments you can thoughtfully respond instead of react. We've trained our brain, we've programmed our brain to react, right? So when we're triggered by getting in a fight with our spouse, we're triggered by dealing with employees, we're triggered by finances, we feel those emotions come up. And when you're not the observer, boom, you're reacting, and you're reactionary to those situations to the point where you're not even thinking. You're kind of on autopilot. So this is the huge Jedi mind trick. Learn how to become the observer. How do you do that? A few different ways. The best way that I found is meditation. Learning how to meditate on a daily basis. And what happens when you learn how to meditate, just like when you exercise, you can't just do it one day and be like a monk and like now you're all enlightened. It's a daily practice. And in those moments of meditating, you learn how to become the observer, right? You learn how to be present in the moment. So many times we're not present in the moment. We're either worried about the future or we're anxious about something from the past that's causing us to be, reactive or be triggered, right? And so if you can learn how to, while meditating, learn how to be present and breathe, then in those moments when you're stressed out, you can do that same practice and you are just observing.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, so it's easier said than done. It's going to take time for most people, but man, that is a huge Jedi mind trick to be able to thoughtfully respond in those situations instead of just react.
This is interesting. I had a food breakdown yesterday night. I was craving the Rice Krispie treats dipped in chocolate, like really bad.
Oh, so good.
Okay, so I'm thinking, and normally I would sit down and eat the whole bag or whatever's in there.
Yeah.
You get these Christmas gifts like full of Rice Krispie treats.
That's
really your neighbors bring them and all that.
Yeah.
But I think you told me something about this when we sat on like water fusion sometime.
Yeah.
About how like that first bite or something is enjoyable and things,
Yeah.
but it gets less enjoyable every bite, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was weird as I took a bite of this Rice Krispie treat and I almost did put myself in that meditative state, but I was like present and enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then it was weird because halfway through I was actually fairly satisfied. I'm gonna save this one maybe for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was good.
Yeah.
I got my buzz, and then I didn't feel sick I didn't feel anything actually because
Yeah.
I just had like a bite, right? A
Yeah.
couple bites, and it was good. And then I looked forward to it. I was like, you know what? If I go work out for 2 hours and things like that, or blah blah blah, then the next couple of days, man, yeah, it's cool. I can have a little more of that enjoyment.
Yeah.
And it's weird how by savoring that moment of every engagement with that food.
Yeah.
But I started doing that when I got into the keto thing after watching you. Like, what do I really love about this steak? Well, it's like a juicy steak, and it's like great. I can put this really hot sauce. I love that. And it's just weird how that present confrontation with the product that you're eating and enjoying every texture of that is not necessarily an evil thing.
Yeah.
Right?
No, 100%. I agree.
It's weird. How do you do? I mean, even when you're on keto, like,
Yeah.
do you mess up a little bit, like in a year?
That's the thing is it comes down to your intention. What is your intention behind wanting to have the Rice Krispie treat? What is your intention behind wanting to have a delicious food? Like if your intention is to numb the pain and escape for a little bit, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if you're constantly doing that, then that Rice Krispie treat or that thing is your drug. Like that is your drug addiction. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just numbing that you're escaping. You're escaping through that whatever that dessert is. But if your intention is to truly be present with that food and enjoy every little bite, I promise you, when you're more mindful in that moment, you don't need to eat a whole pan of it. You realize you're like, man, I feel satisfied after a few bites. But when you mindlessly eat, you're just like, more dopamine hits, boom, 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 and then before you know it, you're like, oh my gosh, I ate the whole pan. Like, what was I thinking? You're like, oh, man, why did I do that? You know what I'm saying? So intention is really important, and then mindful eating practice is really, really important because I promise you, if you're mindfully eating instead of like you're on your phone, like shoving food in your face, you're not really present, you're not tasting it, you're not aware that your body's like sending you signals like, we're good. You know what I'm saying? So it's just being like intention and then also being present, mindful eating so that you're actually listening to your body. You know what I'm saying?
You just made a light bulb go off in my head.
Yeah.
Because I'm this entrepreneurial maniac like you too. You know, like,
Yeah.
But I realized there's unlimited opportunities for entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Like you get presented with probably 100 of them a week. You're like, ah.
Yeah.
And it's great because as you get more experience, you get better at it, right?
Yeah.
So it was crazy because this week it was like that. Just every opportunity I took, it was successful. Every opportunity I took. And then my phone said, hey, Dad's Christmas party, because he's in a nursing facility.
Okay.
2 p.m. I'm like, I could just write 4 more deals. And then I had to stop myself because it was almost like shoving those Rice Krispie treats, like 15 of them in my face.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I've enjoyed myself and been successful for all this, though. I've got to take that time to be present and separate on a business level.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question because you're a crazy entrepreneur and everyone's coming at you with these different deals. Do you apply some of that mindfulness technique in yourself to some of the opportunities you have and things like that? Because it's been weird how the food training from you has transferred at least me to that. That's a weird residual. You don't even pitch that in your thing.
Yeah.
Strange.
No, that's a really, really good analogy right there, and I've never really thought about it that way until you just brought that up.
It's weird.
You made a light bulb go off for me. I'm like, yeah, I see all these business deals sometimes as new treats. Oh, I haven't tasted this treat. What does that taste like? What does that taste like? And if I just go chasing all those treats all the time, before you know it, I'm like, man, I just kind of lost my way a little bit and just kind of like wanted to bite these new treats. So for me, I do try and sit with each business opportunity and say, okay, is this something that's going to align with my core values? Is this something that's actually going to make me feel more fulfilled? Or is this kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. For me, I've always thought about it that, well, not always, sorry. I've progressed in my business journey, but for me, it's got to be hell yes or hell no. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's either got to be hell yes or hell no. If it's like, yeah, that sounds cool, I'll have a few bites of that treat, but then I'm like, oh, why did I do that? It wasn't worth it. You know what I'm saying? So I really try and sit down and determine, okay, which treat is really worth it. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, which treat is really worth it?
I'm going to incorporate that to all my deal flow,
There you go. There you go.
Hell no.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell
Like for example, like a Snickers bar. You could go to the grocery store or gas station and get a Snickers bar any time of the day if you wanted to. But if you're in Italy and like there's a croissant, like a chocolate croissant, like or whatever, like the Italian treat, gelato, you're in Italy. And you're like, I want to experience this treat. Like, that's worth it. Like, that's worth it to be, instead of like, a Snickers bar, is that really worth it? Probably not for most people. Well, that's what I'm assuming. So that's what I'm saying is when it comes to business deals, apply that same mentality. Like, is this worth my time and energy? And am I actually going to enjoy it?
This has been cool. Well, I've been watching your evolution. You've probably seen some of mine. I used to think it was all about just making money.
Yeah.
And then I gained a lot of weight, a lot.
Yeah.
But I made a lot of money too, but my health started declining. And then the old mentors, I'm talking my late 60s to 80-year-old mentors said, Dan, remember the 3 pillars of success. You need financial success and health. You need physical health because you can't enjoy it without it. And then you need spiritual, intrinsic mental health, right?
Yeah.
And if you combine those three, it's almost like a magic pyramid of power, right?
Yeah.
I think Tony Robbins talked about that years back.
Yeah.
That magic pyramid of power to be strengthened in those three ways. And getting a little older now, I realize that if you work on those three earlier, it's a little bit easier than finding out later and trying to fix something that's already broken. But that begets long-term momentum and success.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting on watching your journey, because on the physical stuff, you've always been like the Thor Atlas of awesomeness. And financial, very strong too.
Yeah.
But you were talking about in your last podcast, you've been through a lot of weird, crazy experiences emotionally and spiritually through your life, right?
Yeah, and that's, I think, do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
This is important though, because like I've been giving all these guys and girls out there how to make tons of money, billionaire guy and that, but let's talk about actually equally, if not even a little heavier importance though, is having your physical and mental.
Yeah, 100%. So this is what I see all the time in the fitness industry, and this is what I was all about. Was like, man, I gotta get that body. If I have that body, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be fulfilled in life, and all my problems will go away. Similar to entrepreneurship, where a lot of people have a ton of money, but they're burned out, they're exhausted, their physical health has gone, downhill, and they're not fulfilled. And they're like, "What? I don't understand. I'm making all this money." Same thing in the fitness industry. Man, I got this freaking nice body. Why am I still hating myself? Why am I still upset? Why am I not happy? I thought it was going to bring me happiness. And so you do have to have a balanced approach. And this is why I'm trying to change what I'm doing with Fit in the fitness industry, is to change people's perception of what success looks like. Because people think, oh, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to get this body, and then I'll be happy. And then people will respect me. I'll respect myself. I'll love myself. Once I get this body, then I can be happy. Well, if that's what your happiness is based off of, and you get to that point where you do get the body, it's going to be like the Nutty Professor moment, where he's in shape and he's like, yeah, this feels great, I'm so happy. And that lasts for a period of time, and then it goes away. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, what? Why am I not happy? I have this body. I thought it was going to be fixed. It's a very similar approach to. It's more of a mental, emotional, spiritual journey that I try and take people on when I do these transformations. So when I go on this transformation come January to lose this weight, it's not so much a physical transformation, but it's also mental, emotional, spiritual, which is why, in my meal plans and workout plans and the whole program includes things like a daily gratitude list, positive affirmations, a meditation practice of some type, these things that help people on the mental and emotional side so that they learn how to be fulfilled now, even though things aren't perfect, even though it's not where they want to be. If you can be fulfilled now, then when and if you get the body, you'll still be fulfilled. Your happiness is not dependent on the results. Your happiness is dependent on doing the process. Well, and when you focus on the process, the results take care of themselves over time. But if your success is only dependent on the results and you put up with the process for a period of time, you'll get burnout eventually, and then those results never come, and then you end up hating yourself more and guilting yourself more to the point where you think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And so what I've seen in my clients is when I help them shift that perception and we learn to fall in love with the process, doing the daily habits that they're supposed to do. Once they learn to fall in love with the process, guess what? The results end up coming as a byproduct.
You know what's crazy? This applies to making hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. It's enjoying the process of building and making mistakes and step backs and forward. And
it's so true,
it's
right?
It's the same thing. It's the same recipe.
Yeah. I know.
Crazy.
So you got to find that balance, right? So if you're sacrificing your health to get the wealth, and then you realize, okay, now it's doctor's appointment, now my health has gone downhill. If you could have, from the beginning, found that healthier balance, I promise you, maybe you wouldn't have made as much money, but you would have been way more fulfilled with maybe a little bit less money. But is that the biggest problem in the world, to have a little bit less money but way more happiness? Mm-hmm. I think people would realize, and maybe they need to go through that. Maybe they need to figure out what that feels like, to sacrifice their health, gain all that wealth, hustle, and get that wealth, but then realize they're still empty inside. That's a huge teaching moment. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been through that, but I think some people have. And it sounds like you have more of a balanced approach. You're taking care of your health.
I was making wealth and all that stuff, and then when I drink lots of bad alcoholic beverages to try to feel better about myself and eat tons of McDonald's. And and it was just, you felt better for a few minutes, and then you felt miserable for like hours and days.
Yeah.
Man, this is cool. So you're almost, the timing now, I guess by the time people watch this, maybe a little bit fast forward, but the timing now is how much more time do you have till you're done on your gain weight journey to where you get back to showing people the other direction?
Yeah, really good question. So my birthday, my 40th birthday is December 27th, and that's my official last day of the weight gain journey.
And today, what are we at?
23rd.
23rd. Yeah.
So 4 more days,
4 more
right?
days.
And then between December 28th and January 4th, which is the first day of the journey, like that first Monday of the new year, everyone's going to want to, go back to fit with me, and they're going to want to learn how to do this. But between December 28th and January 4th is a mental preparation week. It's a week to take to prepare our minds to train your brain to learn how to do hard things. So we're going to start out by doing really small hard things. We're going to make our bed every morning.
Yeah.
For some people,
That's
they're
important.
like, that's not going to get me a six-pack. Why would I do that? Well, if you can train your brain to do one hard thing a day, and maybe for some people that is hard, to make their bed, make that bed, and then from there, go take a cold shower for 60 seconds.
Dude, you're like Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid. What's up, Daniel-san?
Yeah, it's like, I don't understand why I'm doing this. Like, trust me. Just trust the process.
He's your Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, so it's these little tiny things that really train your brain to help you believe that you can do hard things. It's like, man, that cold shower really sucked, but guess what? It was hard, and I did it. Okay, and then that starts to carry over into other areas of your life of like, okay, I'm going to exercise today. Man, that was hard, but I did it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you start meal prepping, you start eating healthy food, and then carries over into other hard things in your life with entrepreneurship or in your family. Like, I can do these hard things. The problem is that I think a lot of us don't believe we can do hard things. We think, oh, I'm not David Goggins, I'm not Jocko Willink, I can't do these. Like, I'm not Tim Ferriss, I can't be successful like these, but I can't do these hard things. And then we create these self-limiting beliefs, and then we just stay in that comfort zone the rest of our life. Mm-hmm. Never really stepping outside that comfort zone because we're like, I don't want to fail, I don't want to fail. You know what I'm saying? And so this is applied in so many other areas of our life, and so that's why I train people to train their brain to start out with simple, small, hard things, prepare their body and their mind for the harder things that are going to come eventually. You do have to exercise. You do have to eat healthy food for the most part. If you want to be healthy and get the body you want, and if you want muscle, you're going to have to lift heavy things. Like, there's no way around it. But if you could start out small and train your brain to do smaller things, you can then do harder things. Does that make sense?
True, absolutely.
Bigger, hard things.
You know what's weird? So I bring crazy millionaires, billionaires, fitness experts like yourself, and entrepreneurs on this show, and I get to know them really well.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is no matter how iconic and famous somebody seems, they're just blood and guts.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is off camera, you guys don't see, they had the same fears. Oh man, I gotta go get my kids and stuff. And oh man, the new stepdad dudes, I don't like him, I want to punch him in the face or whatever. All this stuff. Yeah. And they don't talk about this on camera too much, because some of it's like drama.
Yeah.
But it's weird. I've not had one successful entrepreneur guest, financially, physically, spiritually, that doesn't have very similar stresses. And so those of you guys that think, certain of these super successful people are not exactly like you, well, they actually are exactly like you. And it's the same. People are all the same. The difference is they've mastered some of the things that you've talking about being able to be present, isolate these things, hell yes, hell no's, I'm going to your stuff, not what you know, and people want to know that you care.
Yeah.
They've adapted these universal laws into it, and that's what's naturally just raised their whole vibration in all areas, man.
Exactly.
So it's cool because there's it's not like you have to be born special.
Yeah, I know, that's the thing, is like people, their perspective or their perception of someone is like, man, they got some kind of talent that I don't have, or some kind of like thing, like gifts that I don't have. It's like, man, it's not true. It's really not true. You ask anyone, there's the LeBron James of the world, but does he not work his ass off? Yes, he works his ass off. So he had this talent, but then he works his ass off to, amplify that talent. And so we all have those talents. It's about discovering what they are and not being, that's the things. I think we're afraid to step out of those self-limiting beliefs, like, I'm going to tell my 100-mile story.
Yeah.
I'm not a runner. I've never ran a marathon, never ran a half marathon in my life, and I decided to run 100 miles after I read David Goggins' book. Because I'm like, you know what? Why can't I run 100 miles? Because before my thought was, that's impossible. That's for like those special, ultra, endurance athletes. Like, I can't do that. I hate running, first of all. But then I was like, all right, I'm going to try and do this. And so I attempted it and failed. I got 80 miles my first year. But then after I failed at it, I was like, you know what? I got 80 miles. That's way more than I ever thought I could do. What if I actually trained harder for it and hired some coaches, like Iron Cowboy, he really helped me, and some other people that are in that space, they really helped me train for it. And then this time, I freaking did it. And I went from 0 miles to 100 miles. It took a long time. It took 7 months of my life training constantly.
I think I watched that, and you got the IV drips after.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was like, it was so hard to walk. But that's what I'm saying is, like, why not go for the 100 miles? Why not go for that to see if you can even do it? And if you fail, then I promise you, you'll probably realize that you went farther than you ever thought you could before, and then keep applying that in other areas of your life.
That's exactly
Try
like
the
business
impossible.
deals, right? Like,
yeah. So there's a lot of analogies and similarities.
So everyone now is just wondering, okay, man. So how can I watch Drew's journey?
Mm-hmm.
They can watch a little more of your getting heavier, but then join you, right?
Yes.
They can join you. So where do they go to join you, man?
So simple. It's fit, fat, fit.com. So fit to fat to fit with the number 2 in between, .com /back to fit. Or just go to fit.com. You'll find down there, and you can sign up. You can sign up. You'll download the app. You can get access to the exact same meal plans, recipes, workouts, supplements. Jedi mind tricks that I'll be implementing on myself, and then you can do the exact same program with me through that website. Also, you could follow me on social media at fit to fat to fit. Same thing with the number 2. It's very consistent.
I love the social media. Actually, I'm kind of
thank you
lazy about reading like all the literature.
Yeah.
So
that's okay. You're not my demographic.
But watching the journey though.
Yeah.
Watching the journey on your Instagram page. It's kind of Instagram.
Yeah.
It's cool because I get little tidbits every day. Implement. Hey, this works. This is cool.
Yeah.
Every day. So it's almost like having like virtual, Drew, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
And when you're going after the Death Star,
Yeah, exactly.
And you hear the little voice.
I love it, dude.
Use the Force, Dan. Let go. Exactly. You got to be present, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Bro, you're awesome, man.
Well, thanks, Dan.
Is there any last just golden nuggets of wisdom? I know we're like in the height of COVID now. It's freaking crazy. Anything you want to give for people out there they can utilize to help strengthen their minds and their bodies?
Yeah, really, really good question. I kind of talked on some of it, like the whole little tiny things, starting out with small, hard things, carry over into bigger, hard things. I think the biggest thing at the end of the day is shifting your perception of what success looks like. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in fitness, our perception of success is based off movies, TV shows, other people telling us what success is. Find what your version of success is. Find what brings you fulfillment, not temporary happiness, but true fulfillment, right? Mm-hmm. And then go after that. And we live in an awesome country where we can pursue that dream and monetize it and pay the bills by pursuing your passion. And that's what's so cool about this world we live in, at least here for us. Like, it's amazing to be able to do that,
So, man,
dude,
fire as always.
Yes.
Guys, how much does this podcast cost? 0. But there is 2 forms of payment you need to do. 1, execute. If you got to watch this again, listen to this again, execute. Even if you're picking a couple things Drew talked about, like take action immediately. 2, please share it with friends and loved ones that may benefit from this during this crazy time. Yeah. A lot of people need to hear this right now for physical and financial and spiritual strength. So please share it. Thanks for joining Drew and I on Dan's Millionaire Code. I'll see you guys next week.